The Return of the Joker? Batman Beyond? And a live welcome from above and Batman Beyond. I am your co-host, Benjamin David. We are live on our YouTube channel. How's everybody doing? Happy Sunday. As promised, today we're covering the recently revealed comic return of Batman Beyond in the currently running Urban Legends series over at DC. The 30-page story entitled Wake is co-written by Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly with art by Max Dunbar. So we'll get to all the details in just a minute, as well as the comic cover preview that dropped along with the reveal. The audio from this will be on our Above and Batman Beyond podcast. Please subscribe to the pod if you don't already. We're on Apple, Spotify. And for the podcast listeners, don't forget about our Above and Batman Beyond YouTube channel here, where we spend most of our time these days. So please consider subscribing there as well so you don't miss our vids. So again, today we're covering the Urban Legends comic Wake, the upcoming Batman anthology featuring Terry McGinnis Batman Beyond. Since our show here is Beyond Focus, it goes without saying we'll be covering this comic extensively, so be sure to stay tuned for more on the upcoming book. If you don't already, please follow us on Instagram. We are at Batman Beyond Media, where you can find plenty of Beyond coverage. And speaking of our Instagram, at Batman Beyond Media, we have a giveaway, people. If you are a younger, old Bruce Wayne, you're going to need this, because if you're a full-scale animated Batman and you're tired of spending your inherited billions on subpar grapnel gadgets, we got you covered. Next, a 1-to-1 scale. You can get this for free, because I know you don't have a lot of money, Bruce Wayne. But yeah, we're giving this away if you subscribe here on Above and Batman Beyond. All the details are on our Instagram at Batman Beyond Media, where you can figure out how you can win this awesome grapnel launcher, and you'll be set for the for your past. Trying to come up with more jokes for the grapnel launcher, but they're falling short, as you can tell. Point is, you can win it and make up for Ben's bad humor here. Please subscribe. For the intro. Sorry about that. I was so excited for the giveaway. All right, citizens of Neo Gotham, let's talk about the urban legend of the Batman. All right, for those of you joining us on YouTube, please comment below with your thoughts on the upcoming Urban Legends Batman Beyond comic. We're going to use the latest issue of what's called DC Connect as a guide. And then also there's a sci-fi and comic book article that we're going to use as well. We also got a comic cover preview by artist Francesco Mattina and a few other comic previews that we're going to talk about. Synopsis provided, because unlike what I knew previously, there's actually 4 synopses that we're going to discuss, and then release details and the rest. So the DC Connect July issue dropped within the past week. I'm basing that on like the sci-fi and comic book coverage, which was from the 21st. So I'm assuming that came out Monday or one of those days, because Monday was the 21st. But what they do in this DC Connect issue is they solicit comics for September. So it's, again, the July issue for September 2021. Comic Book made a good point that it is a good year for comics if you're a DCAU fan. We got the second season of Batman the Adventures Continue, if you're a BTOS fan or a TNBA fan / Beyond fan. And then we also have the Justice League Infinite comic picking up where JLU left off. And now we're getting continued stories in Neo Gotham. So that's pretty damn exciting. Just checking in with the chat, Patty chat. No one yet. That's okay. So we're going to get to some more details that the comic book article provides, because they made some good points here. But jumping down to the actual details of DC Connect here, we have the Urban Legends issue 7 is specifically what we're going to see our hero beyond. It seems to be 4 stories altogether, quote, featuring all future stories of Batman and Gotham City. So that's what it says at the top of this Urban Legends issue. And kind of before I continue with the details on it, just if you're not familiar with the Batman Urban Legends thing, it's a prestige format series. The '1 premiered on March 16th. That's when they came out. And it seems to be, sorry, I lost my place here. New 64-page monthly anthology series. And it spotlights the new creative voices and ties into some of the biggest events in Gotham. That's a description of Batman Urban Legends. So again, it's an anthology series. This particular one, I guess that's maybe was just the #1. Don't quote me on the 64-page, but it's for sure an anthology series, what we're getting here with Urban Legends. This particular story, again, it's 30 pages. It's called Wake. So I don't know if Wake is, I guess Wake is the 30-page story within these other stories. So let's get back to what we're actually going to see in this book. First, we'll read the 4 short synopses, Then we'll get to the revealed covers and release details. So first we'll just read what's going on in the book again. Then after that, so yeah, let's jump into the 4 synopses. So it says again, this is from the DC Connect, the legend of Batman only begins with Bruce Wayne. For centuries to come, different people will take up the mantle of Batman and defend the times they're living in from all forms of villainy. See 4 of the finest bats of the future may offer. So here's the 4 synopses. In Neo Gotham, Bruce Wayne lies murdered in the Batcave. Terry McGinnis, we know him, Bruce Wayne's final protege, will travel into the heart of Neo Gotham to find who killed the greatest hero the world has ever known. The greatest hero the city ever knew. So that's our Terry McGinnis story. Here's the other story that's also going to be in number 7. In Future State, Cassandra Kane just wants a moment to enjoy a hot meal, but the magistrate's pursuit of her is relentless. We're going to talk about exactly what Future State is in a minute if you're not familiar. Not to go too deep into it, just to catch you up. The next one, in a blasted future, the Dark Knight stands alone against a murderous gang threatening his ruined city, and their mysterious leader will be a shocker. And finally, in the 853rd century, Batman 1 million, bust out the weed for this one, is a warden that must contain the galaxy's criminals, duh. But today, there's a breakout on Pluto. Of course there is. 853rd century, Batman 1 million. Bring it. So some release details. We got the story by Jackson Lansing, Colin Kelly, and others. Pencils and inks by Max Dunbar and others. Cover by Francesco Mattina. Well, again, we're going to talk about that cover in just a minute. It's going to be $7.99, 64 pages. So here's the details that I was right/wrong about. 64 pages, prestige format. Variant covers by Hitcham Habachi and Chris Burnham. And again, $7.99, cardstock on sale, 9/14/21. Because again, this DC Comics Connect of July previews what's going on for September. Anyone in the chat? Not yet. Oh, we got one person joining us. I love it. Hello, one person. I really appreciate your presence. Honestly, I do. All right, so we did the release details. Now, let's break down each synopsis. We're going to start with the Terry McGinnis story. Comic Book had some quotes and made some good points that I thought we could talk about here. So it says, Batman is dead. Long live the Batman. Batman Beyond returns in Wake, a 30-page cyberpunk mystery by the creators that I mentioned before. Again, it's going to be Max Dunbar. It's all these ats, so this is where I get confused. But we're storming Neo Gotham, and it'll never be the same, because I think this was posted to Twitter. That's why it's all the ats. But yeah, keep that in mind. We're storming Neo Gotham, and it'll never be the same. That comes into play again. Lansing went on to emphasize how much Terry McGinnis means to him. Quote, like Nathaniel Richards and Dick Grayson, Terry McGinnis was a character who found me just when I needed him. He's meant the world to at CP Kelly and me. Again, let's see who the Kelly person is again. Colin Kelly. He's meant the world to Colin Kelly and me. Watching the series together with our buddy David was one of our earliest traditions. I can't wait to take you back to the future. Love that line. He also made it clear that they plan to alter Batman Beyond's world in some significant ways. Again, and just so it said, quote, and this is a quote from him, sorry. And just so it said, Gotham will never be the same isn't some fly-by-night promise. We love the classic Batman Beyond, but it's time for Terry to face a new paradigm. We're smashing the toys and building something new, something noir, something beyond. So once again, if we're breaking down these synopses here, Eli Benson, shout out to my co-host, close friend and Beyond expert here on the channel, here on the podcast, in my life. So honored to have him on the show. He always says, when we talk about pitches for a DC animated movie for Batman Beyond, he wants to see Terry McGinnis after Bruce dies. That's exactly where this story starts. In Neo Gotham, Bruce Wayne lies murdered in the Batcave. Terry McGinnis, Bruce Wayne's final protege, will travel into the dark heart of Neo Gotham to find who killed the greatest. Why can't I read? The greatest hero the city ever knew. So if they're, quote, breaking the toys, that might just mean like the continuity from now on is, I don't know. It is the multiverse, though, so it's hard to even say continuity at this point, right? But I was about to say Bruce Wayne is no longer part of the continuity because he has died. But hell, in any of these multiverse, that'd be cool. Why not? It's the kind of ultimate question of Batman Beyond is not just what happens if Bruce Wayne's still around and can help. It's really when he dies, what is Terry going to do without the presence of the OG Batman? The person who truly is more Batman than Bruce Wayne is Bruce Wayne, right? Terry McGinnis is kind of more Terry McGinnis than Batman, or is he? That's the kind of stuff that you can play around with. Can he have a real life? Is Dana going to be in the picture here? Can he have a family with all this? What's the Spider-Man problem going to play into with this? Insofar as trying to, again, balance a real life with that of the Bat. So much to think about, guys. A lot to think about here. So that's the Terry McGinnis stuff. We'll talk about the cover in a minute. We'll talk about some more. Actually, let's see if Comic Book has some other stuff. I want to say they had. Oh, yes. No, we have other stuff here at the bottom. They made a good point of, look, Rebirth ended December 2020. Is this, presumably going to pick up? Or I guess I'm asking, but they said it's presumably going to pick up with the December 2020, but presumably means presumably. We don't know where this is going to pick up. And again, if you're a fan of, or if you're not a fan of losing old Bruce, maybe that won't matter in this, because if this doesn't pick up where Rebirth left off and you're excluding that from some kind of continuity in your head continuity or main continuity, it's DC, people. I mean, even Marvel's playing with it. Even Marvel in the movies is playing with the multiverse. Everybody's playing with the multiverse. So still, it's dope to see the idea of, again, losing old Bruce. So let's get down to the next synopsis. This is, so to be clear, it really just seems one Batman Beyond story. So the quotes that we just read from those creators, again, we got Jackson Lansing, Colin Kelly, and others. That's the Terry McGinnis. Really what applies most to our show here is the synopsis I just read, the stuff that we just talked about, which we'll talk more about in a second. I'm not done. I'm just saying that the rest of the stuff, Future State is not Batman Beyond. Like none of these, the rest of these, as I read, are Terry McGinnis / Batman Beyond. But going back to one of the first things I said, it says at the top of the cover, featuring all future stories of Batman in Gotham City. So this issue of Urban Legends is, again, putting all the future stories into this. So the next one, again, Future State. Cassandra Kane just wants a moment to enjoy a hot meal, but the magistrate's pursuit of her is relentless. I think that's a great idea for if you're doing a Future State one-shot. That is a perfect idea. In Future State, if you're not familiar, it's an ongoing series in DC Comics right now where it's 2025, and there is what's called the Magistrate, who is like this police state who has taken over in Batman and Superman are trying to fight back against them to not totally take over the city. And then there's an incident where Batman is supposedly dead, so they really take over, but then Batman resurfaces, so he's got to be like super underground. And he's already an underground guy, right? But he's a true enemy of the state at this point. So all of his and all the heroes, the Magistrate's not just against Batman, it's against all masked heroes. Kind of in the DC universe, or at least in Gotham. So Cassandra Kane, that's kind of funny. In fact, it's comedic. It's a good idea, though, right? Stories are about conflict, about drama. I hate when people interrupt my hot meals. I get like ritualistic with my food. When I get hungry, I get hangry, especially now that I intermittent fast and stuff. People mess with my eating routine. I have certain things that I play on TV in the background, certain things I won't play. Sometimes I'll listen to certain podcasts, but only certain, like, very specific things that I do when I eat. If you're trying to mess with my hot meal, that's a really good idea that Cassandra Kane just wants a moment to enjoy her hot meal with the Magistrate's pursuit of her is relentless. This relentless state police are chasing her. because she's one of these masked heroes in town. Cassandra Kane, if you're not familiar, she was the 4th Batgirl. I don't know if she was introduced in No Man's Land, but that's where she was at least inducted into the Bat family, from what I know. She is the daughter of Lady Shiva and David Kane. David Kane was like a one of the most badass assassins of the DC universe, and much like Deathstroke does it for money, but is also like an expert. And then is part of this thing with Ra's al Ghul, where Cassandra Kane's birth was orchestrated, in fact, finding Lady Shiva to match him, David Kane, in terms of an assassin prowess. So someone who hand-to-hand combat could be the perfect assassin from birth. So she was raised daughter of Lady Shiva, son of David Kane, to be the, again, assassin for Ra's al Ghul, which is something that they had tried throughout the League of Shadows, apparently. And point is, Cassandra Kane was raised to not speak and to communicate through combat, I believe. Like, that's how just crazy, what's the word? Inculcated, when you just instill something in someone repetitiously and just really kind of, point is, Cassandra Kane's a badass, all right? And that's cool to get, especially a later Batgirl, a Batgirl that's not only lesser known, but a later Batgirl. She's not one of the early better known Batgirls. That would make sense for a future state, once again, 2025. And I think that's a great idea for a one-shot. In a blasted future, the Dark Knight, this is the next synopsis. In a blasted future, the Dark Knight stands alone against a murderous gang threatening his ruined city, and their mysterious leader will be a shocker. Now, I don't know. I guess this is the Dark Knight. It doesn't say Terry McGinnis. It doesn't say Bruce Wayne. So who knows who this Batman will be? It could be an older Batman. It is the future. Obviously, again, all this stuff is future. It's a dystopic future. I like the sound of it. It kind of sounds like that, oh my God, Batman versus Terminator short on YouTube. Have you seen that? It's crack for people like me who love sci-fi, Batman Beyond, Terminator, all that stuff meeting. And it's essentially, if Batman was dropped into, from memory, it's like the Dark Knight Returns tank in the middle of what is the T2 future, the Terminator future, the no fate future, Judgment Day, people. What if Batman was against Judgment Day? So I like the sound of this. The idea of a gang, that sounds Dark Knight Returns, mutant-ish. It sounds 80s inspired. It sounds Batman Beyond with the Jokers. I like it. But their mysterious leader will be a shocker. So that's something to think about. Who in the DC universe will be kind of a good, mysterious, I'm trying to think. I'm not going to think now about it, though, because that would be boring and live YouTube. But that's something to think about, people. And then finally, again, bust out the weed, because in 853rd century, Batman 1 million is a warden that must contain the galaxy's criminals. But today there's a breakout on Pluto. That's just bring it. I mean, how do I break that down? Batman 1 million? That math doesn't even seem to work out, even if it is the 853rd century. But I'll take it. I mean, all of that just sounds like an 80s cartoon. And he's the warden, which kind of makes sense. He's kind of the warden of guys. He's the true warden of Gotham. He loves spending time in penitentiaries and institutions with the crazies, containing the galaxy's criminals. So super high tech. Hopefully he'll be human, so it's still the Bat. He's relying on tech, but 853rd century tech. beyond, a million beyond. Who's galaxy's criminals? I mean, who do you got? You got Lobo up in there. He's the obvious choice, but some Green Lantern guys. It's a lot to think about. And the breakouts on Pluto. So I wonder if this is like Arkham Beyond, Arkham of the 853rd century. That sounds like Duck Dodgers of the 24th. What was the century of the Daffy Duck? Duck Dodgers. I love Duck Dodgers. I used to love that. Again, DC animation meets the future. Duck Dodgers is my shit, people. All right, so I think that's it for the breakdowns. Let's get to the art. Let's get to the art, guys. This cover, Francesco Mattina, the Italian artist, it's gorgeous. Like, at first I had some gripes with the suit, but I'm going to start with the positives here because as I was making the thumbnail for the very video you're watching here on YouTube, yeah, when I was making the YouTube thumbnail, I noticed the bottom of it, and I was like, holy shit, in a positive way. So starting literally from the bottom up, I adore what he did with this. So it looks, especially if you're looking at it on a computer, as most of us are with any of these images, a screen, whatever, it's like, is that low res in the bottom left corner? And you're like, wait, it's getting pixelated and almost dramatically so. So maybe that's a Beyond thing. And you start to look up, and it all forms perfectly into what is essentially like an out of phase, out of res, dystopic, kind of like camera shot, the footage almost of all these bats coming up. And you know, so then the pixelation and the distortion is all perfectly out of phase because the bats make it all muddled up because there's a million of them. And then on the right, you're seeing bats who are a little sharper and in focus. I just like that is one of the coolest ways to express the world of Beyond, right? Like the digital artist of Signore Mattina here is astounding. And I do love that, you know, a lot of people are traditionalists with their art, as they have every right to be. In a lot of ways, I still am. Watchtower Database, JLA, 1 million rocks. I'm reading it right now. That's awesome, dude. Word. Oh, is that infinite, I'm assuming? Or JLA 1 million. Cool, dude. So, or I'm wondering, is the JLA 1 million fitting in with Batman 1 million? Is that what you're saying in the 853rd century? Because that sounds pretty damn amazing. And I'm hoping there's some tie-ins with what you're talking about. And again, bust out the weed for all that. Woo! That's some good times. But yeah, that out of phase cover at the bottom. To take, again, again, I was saying before that people have every right, and in a lot of ways I still am, of being a traditional art fan, right? Not using digital. With Batman Beyond, though, it's like it's organically digital. He's a tech-based Batman, and Batman's tech to begin with. So it's like just tech to the tech to the tech. And that's where digital illustration works. And speaking of even Beyond connected stuff, the upcoming Batman 89 comic by Quinones, who is the man, he's been posting a bunch of stuff for that upcoming 89 comic. He's a digital artist as well, but what's dope about digital art is that for that project, you can bring out the realism of something that's live action, that's, you know, born in live action. Similarly here, you can do cool ass future stuff with the digital art. Shout out to the Watchtower Database as well. If you are a subscriber here at the channel, if you follow our podcast, they were just on our 100th episode of Above and Batman Beyond. Super honored to have them. Part 2 of that is coming next week, as well as they have a review for Batman The Long Halloween. If you're a fan of our DC animated movie show here, if you like DCAMS, they are doing a review. Oh, it's today, actually. Today is Sunday. The time, people. You know why? Because I live in the future. Get it? I don't live in the present. And moving on. Let's try to put that in our past. Just the dad jokes keep rolling in. The beauty of going live, embarrassing yourself every moment that it occurs. So I just blew up the bottom of this cover enough, I think. Let's get to maybe what I don't like so much. I guess to finish up what I do like, that cool out-of-phase bat stuff that I just went into like crazy. Also, again, bottom up and just sticking with the background, it does a lot of cool stuff with the buildings breaking down in the back. You know, speaks to obviously some dystopic theme, which is throughout Beyond. The purple people, unbelievable. The purple people eater color of all of this is stunning. Really nice for Beyond, but Also really expresses like the different angles I think that they're taking. It seems harsh. It seems cold. It kind of abstract. The buildings, like it's not a clear skyline. It's pretty kind of, again, out of focus, out of phase, if you will, and a bit abstract. I love the title treatment. It's really cool, that spray painted. I think that's throughout that theme of the title, as they usually do with comics, is with kind of that stencil, but it works with this because, you know, dystopic again. But the pink, I mean, there's an artist who did this John Wick piece for me at a Comic-Con one time, and he does all this awesome 80s John Wick and Batman and cool stuff, and he was like, the pink of the 80s is my favorite thing. I cannot get enough of it. I also had Kat Hudson, who is from DC Superhero Girls. She is a character designer at DC Superhero Girls. She said that she puts so much of that, you know, tech noir pink into her stuff that people are literally like, even artists are like, should I turn down the pink on my screen? She's like, no, I want it to be that like saturated 80s tech noir pink. And you know what? I'm all about that, people. I'm all about that life. All right, so that's what I like. The suit, I guess if I had to say overall, I don't mind it, but there's probably more about it I don't like. I guess starting off with positive, I like these gauntlets. I don't know if I'd want them with all of my Batman, but all of my Batmen Beyond, but the gauntlets have these super sharp, long, sharp points that go out. This guy looks like he's it's a very metal, like I'm traditionally, the reason I don't like the suit overall is because I'm not a big armor Batman Beyond suit fan. I love the idea that Terry McGinnis can just put that thing in his backpack, and this is Terry McGinnis, as it said. It's a, you know, it's tech that's integrated into traditional cloth, right? And that's what's so futuristic about it, is that it's like the tech is built into stuff versus it being an obviously teched out thing. I think that because we're in the past right now, we look to this future, we want to expect this like armor and things that look high tech. And really what's high tech is when you can't see it, right? It's like when tech is just built into the world and a part of it, integrated into it. I don't know. So I don't know why we constantly get, and this is just Arkham, we get it. A lot of Batman Beyond stuff, we get it. I could also even do without when you see, I know it's not abs, but like it's replicating the idea of the plates on the front that kind of replicate the look of abs. Like why? That's obviously those aren't abs. Never understand really the metal Batman suits. Never been much of a fan. I do like the liberty that they took on the emblem with those hooks at the top. That's pretty dope. Again, I wouldn't want it for all of my. I tend to be more animated. I lean more animated, so I like the straight lines of the Timverse. But still, I do like, if you're taking liberties here, as they said, they're breaking the toys, people. They're breaking the mold, or whatever you want to call it. So if that's the project, then all right, I'll go with the different emblem. I appreciate the cowl. It looks cool because, you know, his mouth looks like it's actually going to be moving here. So there you go. That's pretty dope. That it depends on which Batman Beyond look you're a fan of. Some people don't like the mouth. Some people do. That has been a recent controversy in the McFarlane Batman Beyond action figures, with the exclusive having that face covering, the non-exclusive not. So subscribe to the channel if you want to engage in that controversy. But back to the art here. I think the belt's dope. I mean, they're doing the iconic red circle in the middle. You got to do that. But I still wish there was accents all the way around. I wish that there were those, if not the same patch squares that we get in the Batman Beyond animated series, just something that it's just in this belt, all it is the red, and there's no other accents around it. I love the look of just those ding, 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 ding. And it also is very much a utility belt type thing, as the Bat should have. I'm intrigued by the squared off shoulders. You know, I don't know how much of Beyond we got something that Bruce Timm obviously does angular. I just said the straight lines. I love that. But like his shoulders look almost, I don't know if that's because of the cape or the metal of the suit, but it looks like a mixture of it almost looks like brush metal, just these block shoulders that go down, and then this like shading of like it's just this brush metal shading shoulder thing. I don't know what's going on there, but I'm intrigued. Like if you're already doing the metal armor thing, why not have the squared off shoulders, like chiseled out a little bit? That's pretty dope. I guess a statue is what I was trying to say. I don't know what the hell I was trying to say with brush metal, but it looked almost like statuesque. I said the super long points on his gauntlets. And yeah, I said what I said about the belt. I'm trying to think what anything else about the suit. I posted some questions to our Instagram at Batman Beyond Media if you want to jump in on that conversation, asking you guys what you think about the suit. Yeah, man. I mean, I'd have to see more. The crotch thing I could do without. I don't know why it looks, again, I think it's just a symptom of the armor plates of it's just a piece that goes over and everything fits in like an Iron Man-esque type thing. And, you know, I don't need to see his crotch, guys. I don't need to see that kind of thing. No, I don't, whatever, crotch or not. It just, if it was, again, my preferred suit, which is fabric with the tech built in, you can't always get what you want, guys. But tis what it is. Speaking of art, we got two other pieces of art, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be for the other stories, not this Wake story, not this Cyberpunk Terry McGinnis Batman Beyond story, because there's a variant cover. It just doesn't say like what corresponds to what, but this one cover, if again, you're going to have to go on DC Connect. It's page 13 of that link on the DC Connect for July, is all the future stuff that we're talking about right now. And there's a 125 variant cover of what looks like the Batwing suit mixed with Azrael. So I guess that might be one of the 280, 100 and whatever friggin' century it is, 853rd century Batman 1 million, or it's the Blasted Future Dark Knight. And when it says a Blasted Future, and I was just making all those comparisons to the Dark Knight Returns, Batman versus Terminator, what if it's Dark Knight, capitals? Wonder if it's just like another Dark Knight Returns anthology story. I love anthologies, by the way. I don't know if I said that before, but I love one-shots. I love anthologies. It probably speaks to my lack of attention span stemming from TV and hence beyond, but whatever. Anyway, so back to this top 125 variant cover. It's a lot of fun. It looks like very old school art. A lot of characters on there. That's why I say it might just be that gang from the Dark Knight stuff. The one below, it looks like more modern art. I'm thinking that's going to be the Cassandra Kane, because it's like a more modern comic art. She's got a bunch of ragtaggy clothes, but it still looks futuristic, very ninja-esque. She's got the sword. Yeah, I'm thinking that's the Cassandra Kane future state. Really cool orange sky in that burnt orange really speaks to like the dystopic. What do they say in the Blade Runner 2049? Behind the scenes, but it works for Batman Beyond because James Tucker said in one of the interviews, if you watch the Batman Beyond behind the scenes, and of course Blade Runner, huge influence, James Tucker talks about the burnt orange of the daytime, as he describes it, for Batman Beyond versus the iconic night, Purple Night. But yeah, that burnt orange, I forget what did he say? It was like this, something about an inescapable or hopelessness. He said for whatever reason that burnt orange, I'm more of a writing person, but I guess for whatever reason that burnt orange gives you this idea of hopelessness and inescapable hopelessness. I'm almost positive that's what it is. Inescapable hopelessness. That's pretty much describes a dystopic future. So I like that, and that would make sense for the future state stuff. So here's Ben speculating on his own Batman Beyond research. Look at me flexing my background, guys. I guess that's what I'm supposed to do on here, and also not blow myself up. You got to pat yourself on the back sometimes. Trying to think what else. My own thoughts. I think I'm just skimming through my own thoughts and notes here, but I'm pretty sure I gave you what I said. I mean, full disclosure, I did fall off Rebirth. I haven't been following Future State. Essentially, what I'm saying is I'm unqualified, but I do want to have an upcoming interview with a comic person to come on again. It speaks to my TV background more than anything. But if we have beyond coming to comics, we should definitely interview. And now that we have the interview set up here again and actual internet, We're in the 21st century now. We can get comic person in here to talk about future state. So stay tuned for that. I'm honestly just more excited for the brand Beyond than anything, to be honest. Meaning, it's like, I hate to say brand, but it's true. This is a niche property. It's a niche thing that we do here. If you're a fan, just zoom out for a minute. I try to sometimes as well. It's hard, but it's a niche thing that we're covering here of Batman Beyond. If we can, anytime we see it on the shelves, anytime we see it in the press, even Batman the Adventures Continue stuff, just the words Batman Beyond in a press release, it's important to us. It's very important to us. It brings us that much closer to what we ultimately need for the history of the character, the inevitable Batman Beyond live action movie, right? Or a series or whatever it is that really brings the character into the forefront. I mean, I'm okay with it in animation. It's just less people watch animation, right? So things like this will keep inching that, whatever the hell they call it, keep inching that ball along and hopefully get us to the eventual movie. I'm always in the bag for future stuff, dystopic stuff, Blade Runner, Terminator. So bring it. What do you guys want from this project? Again, follow us on Instagram. Just dropped a bunch of questions and polls in there. I think that is it for our live coverage of the return of Batman Beyond. Again, with our niche of Batman Beyond, my co-host Eli and I will definitely cover this Urban Legends comic as news develops. So stay tuned here at the channel for all that. This is fun. Hello. Sorry, laggy internet. I was just bragging about my internet, but it's lagging. The audio from this will be on our Above and Batman Beyond podcast. Please subscribe to the pod if you don't already. We're on Apple, Spotify, and SoundCloud. For the podcast listeners, don't forget about our Above and Batman Beyond YouTube channel here, where we spend most of our time these days. So please consider subscribing there as well so you don't miss our vids. If you don't already, please follow us on Instagram. We are at Batman Beyond Media, where you can find plenty of Beyond coverage. And once again, speaking of our Instagram, the giveaway, the Batman the Animated Series NECA 1-to-1 scale giveaway. If you are a full-scale animated Batman, you need this, all right? It's free, even though you're a billionaire. Subscribe to our channel. Follow us at Batman Beyond Media, once again on Instagram, for details on how to win it. And the winner will be announced 2 weeks from today right here on YouTube. So again, be sure to subscribe if you want to win. Please subscribe to our DC Animated Movie Show here on the channel as well. Again, that's our YouTube series and podcast for the prestigious ongoing catalog of DC Animated Movies. This past week, we just did a bunch of vid and pod coverage on Batman The Long Halloween Part 1, including our vid called The Long Halloween in 4 Minutes. So definitely check out all that stuff as well as our review. We did a review a couple days ago, of course, when it came out. And finally, speaking of our DCAM show, if you're a fan of my co-host Eli Benson, and let's be honest, who isn't? Mr. Benson is currently joining me for a showcase short review series covering 4 of the recent DC Showcase animated shorts. So far, we've covered 2020's Phantom Stranger and Adam Strange. We did Sergeant Rock. Neil Gaiman's Death Part 1 is coming up, and that was so good that we split it into a 2-parter. But the next episode is actually going to be, since we're doing our showcase short series, we covered Long Halloween last week. I'm going to actually continue that with my review of The Losers. The Losers is the newest of DC Showcase shorts. It came out along with Batman The Long Halloween Part 1. So that's kind of the newest movie, really, to cover because it just came out last week. So again, the DC Animated Movie Show is a series right here in the YouTube channel. And please subscribe to the podcast of the same name. You can find that show on Apple, Spotify, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Finally, please help us out. Write us a 5-star review on iTunes. It's like the best, fastest, easiest way to help us out in the video realm of Above and Batman Beyond. So you just go into Apple Podcasts, write a quick 5-star review, and again, really helps us out. Thank you so much. So I have been Benjamin David, telling you to go above and Batman Beyond.